and we see trends. And what I try to think of is, if these things are true, what are the implications?
Yep.
And so I have a pretty good track record. So, I mean, here's an example. So here in Romania, probably you're having more people do remote work.
Yes, and yes.
Yeah. So that's a thing that's happening around the world. So if you think about, okay, that's something that started in the pandemic, really got accelerated. More people are working from home. What are they going to need? They're going to need more child care. They're going to need 24-hour healthcare, 24-hour IT support. So you start thinking about, could you create a business for remote workers? Could you create a community for remote workers? So it's a complex of apartments where you have childcare and IT and medical support. So you just think through what are the implications. And so it's not that hard sometimes.
Yeah, obvious, but not for everyone. Here's a question. It might seem stupid, but I think worth the debate. What's marketing today?
Well, marketing today is what marketing has always been.
Okay.
And that is this. And this, a lot of people lose sight of this. It's very simple. Marketing is about creating customers. And this is something that Peter Drucker, great American author and business futurist, he said that probably 50 years ago. Some say he was the first marketer. And it's just as true today. I think sometimes we get too obsessed with the automation and the algorithms and likes and engagement. And we have to step back and think, are we creating customers? How are we creating them? How are we keeping them? That's what marketing should be.
And you create customers by creating value? Should marketing create value? Or should create just signals? Hey, I'm here, buy me.
Well, it's a little bit of all of those things. So creating customers seems very simple, but it's very complex. So, there's this thing, I think it was created in the 1960s, called the 4 Ps of marketing, right?
Philip Kotler.
Was that Kotler? No, it wasn't Kotler. Kotler wrote about it.
Okay.
I can't remember the guy's name. But you have to put it in your notes.
I'm waiting a call from you.
It was the 4 Ps of marketing.
Okay.
So, it's product, creating value through the product. You can create product through how it's sold, where it's sold. That's the place.
Yep.
What about the price? Are you a luxury brand? Do you have the lowest prices? You can create value that way. You can create value through coming up with listening to your customers and coming up with new products they never dreamed of. So you're right. Those 4 Ps are all about creating value. And if you create those values, then you'll create new customers.
Let's not forget about the profit.
Profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trends or skill? How do I stay relevant as a marketer in 2023? It's hard. We have to admit.
It's very hard. And
you have to stay true to your values. You have to chase the trends, but you have to pick the right trends and speak to your audience for your brand.
Well, so there's two questions. So how do you stay relevant as a marketer?
Yep.
And how do you stay relevant as a brand? So how do you stay relevant as a marketer? Today, what I say is try everything, dabble in everything. I taught a class the other day. I did a workshop with 300 marketers. I said, how many of you are using ChatGPT at least once a week? Out of 300 marketers, there were like 5. You need to be using this every day.
I'm using Bard also. It's okay.
Bard, yeah. There's a number of great tools. So go to the metaverse, buy an NFT, create an NFT, try everything. You don't have to be an expert, but you have to know enough to ask the right questions. So that's how to be relevant as a marketer. Just be fearless. Keep trying things. Keep dabbling. Now, how do you be relevant as a brand? I think one of the ideas I've been following is a lot of the biggest companies are saying the days of the big advertising campaigns are over. What we're trying to do is how are we relevant now? How are we relevant in cultural moments, at a sporting event, at an arts event, at a concert? How do we connect our brand to these cultural moments? I think that's the big thing we need to be looking at in terms of a marketing trend and staying relevant.
Staying relevant as a brand, actually, you may correct me, is about being relevant for the brand as a message. Does the message respect the strategy? Is relevant for the public?
Yeah.
And it's relevant for anyone else and stays true to our cores, da?
I think that's a beautiful way to say it. And the challenge is, it is like advertising programs used to maybe take a year, right? Because you have to come up with the idea, you have to pitch it, to get approved, do the creative, get the creative approved by legal, by the media. But look what's happening on TikTok.
It's the healthy way to approach a business strategy, actually, and the business marketing strategy. TikTok, I think, it's about the side effect. It's not about the cause.
Well, but what the point I'm trying to make is, like, you have one day to be relevant on TikTok.
Yeah, and less.
Right, or less. That's exactly right. So that's like reinventing marketing. I mean, sometimes we have a day. Sometimes we have a few hours. What does that mean for the creative process? What does that mean for the budget process? What does that mean for the legal process? So being relevant, a lot of being relevant today has to do with speed. And a lot of businesses aren't thinking about that because their processes aren't adjusting.
Here's a question. Speaking of which, can I create a brand on a platform like TikTok? Because let me tell you my side, I don't think you can create. TikTok, it's not about who creates the content, who has the values. It's about the content itself, and then poof, it vanished.
Yeah.
I don't know who created it, who should I subscribe to, and I don't care, actually.
Yeah. That's an interesting question. I think you can. I don't know if you can do it on TikTok alone, but I think you can, because what is a brand? A brand is an emotional expectation. So
definitely,
wherever I experience you, I know what to expect. So someone had an interesting way of putting this the other day. Let's say here in Bucharest, Disney opened a hotel. Can you imagine what it would look like? Can you imagine sort of what you would experience when you walk through the door? What would you hear? What would you smell? That's a brand. It's an expectation. What if Coca-Cola created a hotel? What if Disney created a fast food chain? You'd kind of know what it would feel like. All right. Now,
definitely.
So can TikTok help you create an emotional expectation? I think it can. I think it can play a role in that. How does that emotion show up on TikTok? How do you reinforce that idea with a young audience who's looking at content like this? I think it can play a role. I'm not sure if it can be the only thing, but I think it can play a role.
A well-respected local financial advisor said the other days on LinkedIn, where he is so popular, that marketing is easy now. And let me tell you why.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
You set up a LinkedIn account and there you go, you do marketing.
Well, this is a man who knows nothing about marketing.
I can agree it's easier to do marketing if you ask me. But it's easier. It's easier. You can do marketing if you have the skills, definitely. But is it easier than before? And from here, where do I get my professional knowledge as a marketer, or more important, as an entrepreneur?
Well, let's put it this way. So in some ways it's easier. In some ways it's much harder. And I think I have some authority to speak about this because I've seen marketing for so long. Now, if you think about when I was your age in America, we had 3 network televisions.
Yep.
There was no internet. Every city had 1 or 2 newspapers. And so how do you get the word out? On one of these TV stations or in a newspaper. And that's maybe a little radio. That's about it. Today, media is so fragmented.
It's everything.
Every person we know can be media.
Yeah.
All right. So customers are everywhere. Media is everywhere. Traditional advertising is going away in some ways because we're moving toward a streaming era where more people are consuming content on Disney Plus and Amazon Prime and Netflix where there aren't ads. It's not connecting with people. People are paying extra not to see ads. They're, listening to Spotify, paying more not to hear ads. So that makes it more difficult, a lot more difficult. It's fragmented. It's harder. It's more expensive. It's more crowded. It's noisier.
Pretty noisy.
It's not easier from that perspective. Now, for an entrepreneur, here's the thing that's magical. That when I was a young person growing up in business, to be known, for someone to know who I was and respect me, that was someone else's choice. Someone at a newspaper would have to pick me. Someone from a TV station would have to choose me and say, we're going to put you into the media. I can create my own media. Every person today, every entrepreneur, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, no matter what's happened to them in their life, can create media and have an impact on the world.
If you have the skills or the money.
Well, you can, you need, I don't know if skills is the right word, but you need to be tuned in to the needs of your customers and show up in a way that's unique and new and something that grabs their attention, some way that meets their need in a new place, in a new way, on a new platform.
If skills are not the right attributes, is personality?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I'll give you an example.
Please.
So I live in a place it's a lovely place to live, and a lot of people want to move there. And so we have all these agents that sell real estate. It's very competitive. I live in a small town. There are like 6,000 real estate agents, and they're all on Facebook and they're all on LinkedIn. There's one young woman who got on Instagram and she decided she was going to show all the crazy things she has to do as a real estate agent. She comes to the house.
Realtor life.
Pull back the curtains. So the houses are supposed to be clean and ready to go. And she goes into a house and there's a cat there. They left their cat. So she tells stories about all these crazy things she has to do. Now, is that skill? Is that personality? Is it just being honest? Is it just being human? It's not creating something new. It's using Instagram in a new way.
Yep.
In a human way. I wrote a book called Marketing Rebellion, and the subtitle is The Most Human Company Wins. And I think that's the most human real estate agent, the most human university, the most human symphony. When you connect in a way that builds that emotional connection, that's the power. Is that a skill? Is that a personality? I don't know, but I think anybody could do it.
I think in the age of AI, it's a must-read book.
Yeah.
About being human.
Yeah. Well, what I've started to do on my blog post, I have a badge that says 100% human content. It's still me.
Definitely, that's a business there.
Mark is in the house.
I have so many questions, but we are out of time.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know.
You're going to have me on again another time.
I know. I liked our talk. Actually, let's go for one more question.
Okay.
What do you think about AI?
Pardon me?
What do you think about AI? How is this gonna
Well, I
impact?
have the same response as just about everybody.
Usually.
Here's the response. It's
Amazing.
so exciting, and I'm terrified.
excited because that's amazing.
I think, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yep.
And I can see how this is going to increase my productivity. It's going to get better and better and better and better. I'm going to have this little digital assistant, this little digital co-pilot. It's going to help me do all the things I hate to do. And that is very exciting to
Do
me.
you use AI every day?
I do. Yeah, I use AI in lots of creative ways to help me with little tasks. And so I love that. I'm fearful of some of the impacts in terms of job loss. And the thing I'm most concerned about is, so let's say AI comes in and can do the easy tasks, creating basic copy, creating basic ads. Now, who used to do that? Entry level positions. How did I learn how to be a professional? I did entry level jobs. I had a boss that taught me, grew me, was patient with me, showed me to do a better way, and I went up, 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 up. So what happens if we don't have people doing those entry level jobs? That, I don't know. We'll have to see how it turns out. But I'm afraid we're going to have to grow people in a different way. I think that's going to be one of the unintended consequences if we just start using AI and applying it to a lot of these basic tasks. Those are tasks that people need to learn to grow into a better professional.
It's very interesting. Thank you for answering this question. I knew I had to ask one more. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the great questions.
Thank you very much.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.